welcome back to Mr. Daily Talk. Before we begin our conversation, I would be very happy if you subscribed to my channel and liked my videos. In this podcast, we focus on real English conversations that you can actually use in daily life, not textbook English. Today, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Emma, who has lived and worked in several different countries and has a lot of experience communicating with people from different cultures.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here because cultural differences are something I experience almost every day.
That's exactly why I wanted to talk to you today, Emma. Cultural differences affect the way we speak, behave, and even understand each other.
Yes, and many people don't realize that misunderstandings often come from culture, not from language mistakes.
So before we talk about differences, let's talk about culture itself. What does culture really mean to you?
For me, culture is not just food, music, or traditional clothes. It's the invisible rules that guide how people behave, communicate, and react in daily life.
I completely agree. Culture teaches us how to speak to older people, how to show respect, and how to behave in uncomfortable situations.
And the interesting part is that we usually don't notice our own culture because it feels normal to us.
Yes, but when we meet people from another culture, suddenly we become very aware of these differences. Let's talk about first impressions, because they are strongly connected to culture.
Absolutely. In some cultures, when you meet someone for the first time, you are expected to be very friendly, smile a lot, and ask personal questions.
But in other cultures, asking personal questions too early can feel uncomfortable or even rude.
For example, questions about age, salary, or family are very normal in some countries.
While in other cultures, people prefer to keep these topics private, especially at the beginning of a relationship.
If you don't understand this difference, it can easily lead to misunderstandings.
Eye contact is another important topic.
Yes, because eye contact can mean very different things depending on the culture.
In some cultures, strong eye contact shows confidence, honesty, and interest.
But in other cultures, too much eye contact can feel aggressive or disrespectful.
Body language works the same way.
Gestures, facial expressions, and even silence can change the meaning of what you say.
That's why communication is never only about words.
Personal space is one of the first things people notice when they meet someone from another culture.
Yes, because when someone stands too close, it can feel uncomfortable.
But what feels too close changes from culture to culture.
In some cultures, standing close shows warmth and friendliness.
While in other cultures, people prefer more physical distance and feel safer that way.
If this invisible space is not respected, communication becomes stressful. Time is one of the biggest cultural differences, especially in work and business life.
Definitely. Some cultures see time as very strict and structured.
Meetings start exactly on time, and deadlines are taken very seriously.
In other cultures, time is more flexible, and relationships are more important than schedules.
This difference can create tension in international teams.
People may think others are rude, lazy, or too strict, even when that's not true.
Another key difference is communication style.
Yes, some cultures are very direct and clear when they speak.
They say exactly what they think, even if the message is uncomfortable.
Other cultures prefer indirect communication to avoid conflict and protect feelings.
For example, instead of saying no, they might say, "I'll think about it," or "maybe later."
English learners should understand that indirect answers are still answers.
Food is one of the easiest ways to see cultural differences.
Yes, especially table manners.
In some cultures, finishing all the food on your plate is polite.
In others, leaving some food shows that you are full.
Even daily routines like meal times or how long people sit at the table can be very different.
Another important topic is how people express emotions.
Some cultures are very open and expressive.
People talk about their feelings easily and openly.
Other cultures value emotional control and privacy.
Neither way is better or worse, they are simply different.
So, why should English learners care about cultural differences?
Because English is a global language used by people from many cultures.
Understanding culture helps you communicate more clearly and respectfully.
And it makes you more confident when speaking English with anyone.
Cultural differences can feel confusing at first.
But they are also what make communication interesting and meaningful.
Different doesn't mean wrong.
It simply means different.
Before we finish, I think it's important to say that cultural differences are not something we need to fear or avoid.
Yes, I completely agree. Because once you start seeing cultural differences as something to learn from instead of something strange, communication becomes much easier and more enjoyable.
And I think this is especially true for people learning English. Because English connects people from very different backgrounds, habits, and ways of thinking.
Exactly. And when you understand that people don't always mean what they say in the same way you do, you become more patient and more open-minded during conversations.
So instead of thinking, "This person is rude" or "This feels wrong," it's better to think, "Maybe this is just cultural, and I need to understand it better."
That mindset alone can change the way you experience conversations, friendships, and even work relationships in another language.
And over time, you don't just improve your English skills. You also become more confident and more comfortable speaking with people from all over the world.
Because learning a language is not only about learning words and grammar, it's also about learning how people live, think, and communicate.
Thanks for listening to Mr. Daily Talk. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the videos.